Today in the video, Bride for a Dead Man. Why do the Chinese organize weddings for the dead? And why do they play cheerful music in Ghana? How they see off the dead in Indonesia and the Philippines, and why Ghana plays cheerful music. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And here we go. To find peace in the afterlife can only be together with the other half. So think the Chinese. There is a belief in this celestial empire. A man who has not had time to marry in his lifetime is doomed to eternal loneliness in the afterlife. To prevent this from happening, the Chinese perform a ritual called Yanhun. The ritual is forbidden by the authorities, but it's still popular. Relatives find a deceased bride, a recently deceased woman, and hold a wedding ceremony. There is even a black market in the country, whose members trade the bodies of girls. If the bride cannot be bought, the relatives of the deceased are not afraid to dig up the remains of women from their graves. The ritual is now considered a relic of the past, but in some remote areas it is still practiced. A few years ago in China, a man decided to steal the body of a dead woman in order to sell it for $2,500 to the house of a man who was not married, so that they could be buried together. Song and dance in a colorful coffin. This is how funerals are held in Ghana. The locals believe that after death a person goes to a better world. Therefore, one should not cry, but rejoice for him. A group of dancers who carry the coffin are invited to the ceremony, and the coffin itself is made, focusing on the hobby or profession of the deceased. It can be in the form of a ship, a camera, a car, or even a chicken. They rejoice in the fact that the person left this life with these diseases, with these fears and experiences, and after some time will be resurrected in a new body, more successful, happier. The Indonesian Taraji tribe has a different opinion. After death, a person's soul does not move anywhere, but remains in his body. That's why the people of South Sulawesi province don't bury their loved ones' remains in the ground. They hang their coffins from tree branches, and once every 3 years they take out the bodies, dress them up, comb their hair, and walk around the village with them. The dead are bored hanging on the tree all the time. That's how the Oberines explain the macabre ritual. There is a similar tradition in the Philippines. Each of the deceased is taken out of his grave from time to time and planted near his ancestral home. In one hand they give him a cigar, and in the other hand they give him a glass of vodka, in order that, roughly speaking, everyone can come and say goodbye to him again, or say hello, or something else to take a picture. The Canadian Inns of the Kwekutol tribe also find their final resting place in a tree. The remains are placed in a wooden box and then placed on the branches. Sit under that tree without speaking or moving. If you break the rules, then, according to local beliefs, the dead person will take the other half with him to the other world. Only after these 4 days, she can stretch out her legs and sit like this for 16 more days. She can't move her arms or legs or anything, and the worst thing is that no one, no relative, no friend, no acquaintance should even speak to her. All over the world, huge areas are allocated for cemeteries. But for many countries, every hectare of land is worth its weight in gold. That's why alternative, burial methods are gaining in popularity. Italian designers Raul Brizel and Anna Citelli have proposed to use a biodegradable capsule instead of a coffin and bury it under the roots of a tree. Organic substances formed after decomposition will become a nutrient medium for the plant. That is, it turns out environmentally friendly to waste-free procedure that is not disturbed in any way the balance in nature. And this is an underwater cemetery in Florida. It's called the Neptune Memorial. The ashes of the deceased are mixed with concrete and then pour the mixture into a special mold, where they put in personal belongings of the deceased. The monument turns out to be, for example, in the shape of a starfish or a fish. Then the sculpture is lowered underwater. It turns out that the relatives make a memorial with their own hands. At the end of the ceremony, family members are given the coordinates of the place where their relatives are buried. To rest at the bottom of the ocean can afford not everyone. This pleasure costs from $3,000 to $8,000. Most often divers are buried in the Neptune Memorial,